Welcome back to Breaking Bitcoin, everybody. This is your daily source for everything cryptocurrency markets and personal finance. I'm your host, lead analyst at KrakenCryptocurrency.com, Justin Wise. Hopefully you guys are doing absolutely fantastic today, wherever you happen to be and however you happen to be tuning into the show, whether you're watching us on YouTube, Twitch, DLive, Facebook Live, or on Roku with the Investor News Channel app. We've got a fantastic show for you guys today. Obviously, American stocks are climbing pretty well today here this Wednesday morning, kind of led by the tech giants. The Chinese markets are seeing kind of their seventh consecutive day of gains as well. And we've got pretty much the entire cryptocurrency market asking if this movement, particularly from Bitcoin, is the next huge, massive breakout that everybody's been watching for. Thus, the title of today's show, is this the pump you were looking for? So, before we get started, I want to say Kraken Cryptocurrency is very, very proud to host one of the fastest growing online trading communities. Make sure to join our free community at discord.krakencryptocurrency.com. It's a fantastic place to be. All right, so kind of the theme for today's show, or at least what I want to start off with, before we get into the analysis, before we get into the markets, is kind of just what I was touching on yesterday when we started the show, which is sticking to your game plan. All right. Now I've got my inbox flooded. I was trading quite actively this morning, discretionarily, and the members lounge was quite busy, and I get a lot of messages whenever there's a big movement in the market, sometimes for different reasons. But the common thread is always the same, and that is, I was wanting to trade one way, or I was in a trade that was going one way, and now this movement has happened. What should I do, right? And the best answer, 9 out of 10 times, is always nothing, okay? Because when you enter into a trade, when you've done your initial level of analysis, you need to know a few things. You need to know where you're going to enter, where you're going to exit in profit, and where you're going to exit in panic. And those are three things that you have to know. And that last one is extremely important, okay? And it's only when if the conditions for you to exit in panic have been met, then you exit, preferably with as little panic as possible, but maybe a little bit is acceptable. And then generally, you want to do nothing, right? A good habit to get into is, for example, if you have taken a short and something has happened in the market to contradict your original position. And when I say that, I don't mean a movement that you didn't anticipate. I mean a movement that validates the exit conditions that you set at the beginning of the trade. For example, if you short Bitcoin from 9,000 and you say, okay, if the daily candle closes above 9,400, I'm going to exit my trade. And only if that happens, okay? Then unless that happens, you don't exit the trade. You still stick to your game plan. The reason why is not necessarily because that's going to prevent you from taking a losing trade. You are going to have losing trades. But what that allows you to do is figure out why you're having losing trades. Because if your exit strategy, if how you exit a trade is constantly shifting based on what the market is doing, which is always dynamic, then it's impossible to get any sort of statistics or any sort of reading on how you're trading or why you're doing things the way that you are. If instead, like a robot, you consistently exit the same way each and every time, regardless of whether it's a winner or a loser, you can objectively build up a database of information, of statistics. And then you can go back and objectively change and tweak your exit strategy. Then you can determine, is it my exit strategy or is it my entry strategy that's wrong? And we can work on this. But if you're doing something different every single trade, you're not going to be able to have those results, and you are not going to be able to improve as a trader as quickly as if you were keeping objective results and trading objectively. So if something has happened in the market, in any market, to contradict your trade by validating the exit condition that you set when you put the trade on, then do what you should do. Exit the trade, sit on the sidelines. One other healthy habit to get into is if you do exit a trade out of panic, never flip and trade the other direction. Should not do that. You need to pause, wait out a cycle, and wait for your next trade entry. Not that you cannot have profitable trades doing that, like, oh, I was in a short and then price pumped, I waited for a dip, I exited my short and got into a long. Not to say that that can't happen and that you can make money doing that, but the odds are not in your favor there because you've already had a losing trade. So that tends to put you on a wheel of not making the best decisions right then on that market. Much better to just pause, step away from that particular market for a little bit, and wait for the next trade setup that confirms with your analysis. So good habits there, good habits there. Exit the right way, stick to your game plan. Plan the trade, trade the plan. Okay, with that being said, obviously today's headline, kind of the big news today, at least in my mind, is Bitcoin moving up about 2%, pulling back down a little bit now, and Bitcoin dominance dropping so much. We had a good conversation about this, the analyst did this morning, about the ramifications of Bitcoin dropping so much. I thought it was a little funny because I saw a few Twitter posts this morning saying, if you needed any more evidence to be bullish on altcoins, look at Bitcoin dominance, which dropped significantly. And, and I thought to myself, I just found it kind of amusing that, several hours after I saw that tweet posted, Bitcoin pushes up 2% and altcoins drop about 4%. But having said, not necessarily convinced. In fact, I'm not convinced that altcoins are not the assets to be in. Again, this is what we've been heavily in for quite a while. Today represented some great pullbacks. I did quite a bit of scalping this morning. We're going to be doing some scalping, reviewing kind of the trade of the day, which is going to be Doge, by the way. We obviously covered Doge yesterday, so we're going to get into that here in just a moment. Yeah, and we're going to cover, we are going to get into the, we're going to talk a little bit today about what the FBI is doing as far as tracking cryptocurrency transactions on the dark web involving Bitcoin and Monero. And, while I initially went into this research on this topic, thinking that the takeaway would be for the show, like, well, guys, if you're using the dark web, better think again, because they're just developing better tools to track you. Come to find out, no, there's quite a dark hole that cryptocurrency can disappear into. But it does bring up potential issues for these cryptocurrencies that are being used in this fashion that are so private. It is highly unlikely that they will be able to meet like regulatory. It's unlikely that something like Monero will make the regulators happy. Something like Bitcoin, where it's pseudonymous, pseudo-anonymous, that they can, obviously if you got CipherTrace and all of these other companies, these blockchain analytic companies, Bitcoin has not had a terrible time as far as getting approval from governments. Yeah, one could argue that case. Something like Monero, on the other hand, most likely is going to have an extremely difficult uphill battle if it wants to, achieve the kind of widespread adoption or at least the kind of government seal of approval, right? So maybe that's a good thing, maybe that's a bad thing, but we'll get into that here in just a little bit, but overall. So let's get into the markets. If you guys have any questions, drop them in the live chat. The moderators are there to help you out. If you enjoy the content, make sure to subscribe if you haven't already. Smash the like button. If you're on Twitch and DLive, you can of course support us with a follow or subscription. Let's get rocking, guys. All right, yes, and we've got the green screen today. Yes, we do. Green screen is set up and ready. And you get little Justin down in the box there. All right. Whew. I'm not gonna lie, guys. It's 100 degrees outside. It's hot in here. It's hot. I turned the Bitcoin miners off. All right. So I want to give a shout out to somebody who left a comment in the comment section. So this is yesterday's video. This was our Tuesday market update. And this is Geo. He says, I was talking about how some of the biggest problems in life is education related, right? We're not receiving good education. And he said, totally understand how you feel. The education system fails people in many ways. It is not just the United States, but all over the world. Some countries appear to be better at developing discipline, confidence, and a results-driven mindset, but that really comes from culture and extracurricular activities. Rules-based education systems only create an apparent discipline. The lining in the cloud is that we are moving away from standardization of knowledge towards a more tailor-made form of education. That is in the air, though, and still in the making. Thought I'd just drop this as many watching have kids. I'm a great advocate of teaching integrated subjects, for example, science, then let the kid choose what aspect of science they wish to take further. Great comment. I really appreciate, again, I'm assuming this coming from another parent. If not, cool, big shout outs. Again, as a parent and somebody who wants to, we all want to make the world a better place, but I have some pretty strong opinions on how I think we can make the world a better place. And I think that if we raise our kids to be a little bit smarter and not abrogate, not get rid of the obligation or the requirement to instill the most important virtues in our kids, we'll probably progress a lot further. But really, thank you for taking the time to leave that comment. I really appreciate it. Quite a beautiful comment. So thank you, Gio. Okay, let's get into, before we get into Bitcoin, I want to look at kind of the trade of the day. So these are an amalgamation of trades that I'm currently in, but we're just going to focus on Mr. Dogecoin right here. So let's go to the daily. So yesterday, if you guys will recall, we were talking about Dogecoin yesterday. Obviously, we covered it in kind of the brief news bits, and there was a kind of a viral TikTok meme incentivizing individuals to buy Doge at 20 cents and hold it to $1. Just checking. We'll get back here to Doge BTC here in just a little bit, but let's just check the dollar price of Doge. So Doge was, in the 20-cent range, consolidating here around a quarter, and it actually did not make it to $1. Made it to about 56 cents on the high here. Yeah, 56. Oh, excuse me. Didn't even make it to a penny. Excuse me. I'm sorry. So half of a penny. Okay. Wow. But still an amazing movement out of Doge USD. I apologize. Sometimes I can do math. Other times not. So currently buying anywhere in the consolidation area. So anytime over the past month, you'd be up about 50% right now on Doge in about 48 hours. So let's go back to, the actual setup. This is Doge BTC on Bittrex. All right, turn the fan off. Oh, man, it is so hot in here. I really don't want to, but I'll do it. I'll do it just for you. All right, turn the fan off. When I start sweating in here, man, you're gonna have to deal with that. All right, we're all in this together, but I feel like I'm the only one in the room sweating. Okay, Doge BTC. All right, yeah, if I see four more comments that say nobody heard a fan, oh man, it's going down. So let's cover Doge, and then I'll go back and look at the comments. So as we were looking at Doge yesterday, let's just hit market replay here. So let's not even take into account what's happened. All right. So we looked at Doge and we identified a rectangle bottom pattern, right? Now again, I want to make this very, very clear. Discretionarily, in general, right? In general, the reason why I push people away from learning chart patterns and discretionary practices initially is because they often lead people astray. All right. It actually takes a lot of experience and a lot of discipline, in my opinion, from what I've seen, because I've seen the failure rate of traders. I've seen people come in and the majority, almost all trading education is aimed at price action, Fibonacci's, discretion, buying low, selling high, just all of this kind of stuff, all reversal trading, all lower time frames, all very, very frequent trading, all stuff that not only incentivizes brokers in traditional markets as well as Forex and CFDs, but also even in cryptocurrency as well, because exchanges drastically control the markets and circulating supplies of many coins. And they're getting bank off commissions. So having said that, I do not think, and I know this from experience, that the majority of traders are going to have amazing results coming in and attempting to trade discretionarily out of the gate. I've seen too many people fail that way. The numbers on this are pretty clear. I think this is pretty evident for anybody to see. There's just not many people that will stand up and say that. So I will. I've seen what brings traders down. I saw what made me fail as an initial trader, and it was trading discretionarily. It wasn't until I built an objective system, and I've created a process of strategy creation called Pathways to Profit. You guys can check it out if you want. That I actually became a consistently profitable trader. And from that, learning how to trade a system with discipline, following a rule set, eventually evoked in me the ability to be able to manage discretionary trades. Okay, right? You still kind of have your issues with them, but you try to build a as rules-based a system as you possibly can, and you follow those rules consistently, right? So the thing about chart patterns is that chart patterns are not necessarily predictive in and of themselves. Okay, they don't exist. There's no like perfect chart pattern. There's no like perfect triangle. There's no I don't want people, the point I'm trying to get across here is that I don't want individuals to get the false illusion that I seem to see people getting around many, many things, which is, oh, this thing is magical. It works all the time. It's just perfect. No, chart patterns are useful for human beings because most things in the market every moment in the market is unique, but many, many things are similar to what's occurred in the past. This is why we can backtest. This is why we can build up statistics. And this is why we can develop a strategy based on historical results that works well in the present and in the future. So, so with chart patterns, they're useful for measuring and they're useful for getting a grasp of how the market may move. They're not predictive in and of themselves, okay? So they're just a tool. With that being said, identifying a rectangle bottom. I have a tutorial on TradingView, by the way, if you guys want to check it out. For rectangle bottoms, I will drop that here in the chat. Right here. And in this example, I utilized Troy BTC. This is kind of a little bit of a different one. You could argue a rectangle bottom and then maybe a double bottom atom pattern, but there we go. I'll drop that link in the chat. You guys can check that out if you want. This was actually a trade that I took. This was also a trade that this was a trading signal that I provided to the premium trading group, and this was a profitable trade. So something very similar here on Doge. We have a long period of consolidation on Doge. We see, an accumulation period between 25 and 33 sats. Multiple tests of the resistance level. Now, there is a certain pattern that I like to see here that I've talked about before, and this is when price is consolidating. If we form a higher low and consolidate right underneath resistance after we've tested it 2 to 3 times or more, I begin to feel more bullish that is going to break out because that is showing weakening. The consolidation has happened quite a while, and you can see from the higher low that the buyers have gone ahead and stepped up where they're willing to defend their entries, which you want to see right before a breakout. So all you're waiting for there is the volume spike. Okay, so we did the measured movement. We talked about potential price targets, 41 sats, and we said yesterday, I said if the daily closes above 33 sats. You can wait for the BPC, the break pullback continuation, or you can aggressively market enter and target that measured movement. And using the chart replay, forward one candle, here's yesterday's daily close. We did end up closing right there. And let's go ahead and go forward to today. Yeah, and that happened. And yes, either method would have worked. I certainly would have preferred the break pullback continuation method, where you do actually set that limit order at the level of resistance, or if you want to, actively manage the trade, you can pull up a lower time frame and use the momentum oscillator of your choice that generates oversold or overbought conditions. That can often help with identifying a good trading, a good entry. That's similar to the 3 screens method. Trunker, junior analyst Trunker has a great post on that in the Discord. You guys can check that out. I believe it's in his free channel as well. Just search for 3 screens method. Okay, so you could have aggressively market entered on yesterday's daily close for Doge, or you could have set that limit order again at 33 sats like we talked about. And you would have, at the minimum, if you would have been targeting just that measurement, 23.53% up to 41 sats. And this thing actually ended up running 40% more than that. So good trade. The trailing take profit method, for example, with kind of any trade management system, but of course 3 commas comes to mind, is the one that I utilize, would have helped you out there as well. Trailing take profit is where you have a take profit order, and when price reaches that take profit order, instead of immediately taking profit, you actually set a trailing stop loss underneath price, and it just follows price up. And whenever your trailing stop loss gets hit, you're out of the trade. Okay, so that's Doge. Definitely trade of the day. Big shout out to individuals that were able to take advantage of Doge. Looking at Doge right now, I think we have an opportunity. Now, a lot of individuals are going to look at Doge and be afraid to trade it. Obviously, the massive opportunity was here. I know a lot of individuals in the group took that trade. Jason took that trade, for example. So good profits all the way around. Looking at Doge right now, I do believe there is an opportunity. I already made some money off Doge this morning when I came to Excuse me. Let's see here. I just want to make sure I get the times right. No, this was last night. 11. Yeah, we were right here. So this morning when I woke up and I was doing my analysis, I saw obviously Doge had a big movement, and it was right around here. And I was tempted to set a bid at 41 sats, which was the original take profit order, but I decided to be sneaky and I went ahead and set it 1 sat underneath the previous low here at 38 sats. I walked away for a little bit to water the gardens this morning and do my morning workout. And when I came back, I had been filled on Doge at 38 sats. I looked and price was at 42 sats and I took initial profits there at 42 sats. Haven't moved my stop loss to break even because as a low sat, I want this thing to kind of move for a little bit. But again, entry opportunity definitely here, especially if we continue to hold 41 as support. I don't really have any good measurements. I can tell you guys what I would be targeting, which would just be utilizing Quadrigo. I did utilize Quadrigo for a portion of the trade, and then just saying, okay, like 50, 60, 70 sats. Let's see how far we go. All right. So good setup on Doge, and that is the trade of the day. All right. So let's get into the markets for today. We're going to start off with Bitcoin. Good stuff happening on Bitcoin today. Now, my sentiment did flip bullish this morning. Why? So right before Bitcoin actually broke resistance, and we'll look at that here in a little bit. I don't want to say right before, but about an hour before, I had pushed out my initial market analysis this morning and my initial trades for the premium trading group. So, when I woke up this morning and I came into my office and I started analyzing the markets, I was neutral. I wasn't exactly sure what I was going to see, but after scanning the news and seeing the movements that had happened with Bitcoin, I became bullish and decided that I wanted to look for a long. Now, last night, I closed out my short last night. It shorted at 93.50. I did not like the way that price was looking, and again, it was discretionary trade in the first place. So I took my profit off the table. I already had quite a bit of risk on the table with the altcoin trades that I had open, and I didn't really like the risk imbalance. So I just went flat. I went neutral on BTC, and I'm glad that I did. I'm glad that I took profits on that short. So when I woke up, I came into the market neutral and wanted to be a buyer, and I'll show you why here in just a little bit. This is the breaking Bitcoin trading system. This is a pathways to profit trading system. Now, this is not actually generating a long signal yet, although there are indicators in the Kraken cryptocurrency premium indicator suite that of course are. Minx is generating a centered oscillator trading signal right now. So for those who are using Minx, which is probably our most popular indicator or entry indicator anyways, as a centered oscillator signal, that is certainly signaling right now. The breaking Bitcoin initiator itself is generating an exit signal. We are above the Hall moving average 60 baseline, so we are in a bullish trend as identified by the trading system, and we're below the entry qualifier 94.81. So conditions here are ripe for entry. However, the confirmer that I have paired up with my initiator and the vol filter that I have paired up with my initiator here, in that case Parallax and Wadatar Explosion, are not generating long signals here. So this a little bit more conservative than the Donchian system that I'm actively using in FOREX and ETFs and CFDs, not generating a trade signal right now. So no daily swings on Bitcoin from this system. The Donchian system, on the other hand, which is usually more conservative, is generating a trading signal. We have the True Strength Index crossover today. As you guys will know, that's one of the things that we were waiting on. Time transformation crossed over how many bars ago? 1. So 1 bar after that. This is 2 bars later. So this is a 2 bar. I don't want to say 2 bar play, or I'm going to trigger Alex. But it is in the 3 bar rule, which means one can enter a late trading signal if you reduce your risk. Dynamic money flow, which is our vol filter in this instance, is positive, indicating that money is flowing into Bitcoin rather than out of Bitcoin, which is a sign that we want to trade to the long side with this system. And again, we are above the Donchian system and below the qualifying line, 94.99. So a daily long is absolutely valid here on Bitcoin using the Donchian system, and I'm going to be taking one. So let's go ahead and use Quadrigo to measure this one out. Okay, so at daily close, as long as we are above the baseline and all of these factors, all of these technical indicators are still signaling the way that they are, I will be looking for a long with take profits right now as I look at a chart of about 96.88, 99.42, and 10,195. Stop loss at 90.56. Now, there are different ways to get the entry. Obviously, I became a bull this morning as I looked at the charts. We'll kind of look at the lower time frames, and I'll explain how I'm trying to optimize my entry to a degree. All right, kind of looking at the classical TA chart here, which is nothing massive to look at. I used to use RSI here, but I am now pretty much predominantly using ISISpot, even on the daily. Again, nothing absolutely crazy here. The only thing that looks about right, I'm just identifying this area of the market as a consolidation area with quite a bit of volatility. Generally looks like a rectangle top. However, I would certainly be open to any arguments of double bottoms or this or that. Doesn't matter. Again, the actual chart pattern doesn't matter. What matters is, do you have some kind of tool to help you make sense of what you see in a chart and develop a plan of action, an actionable plan and rules to make that plan work for you. All right, so utilizing it as a rectangle top, we can do a measured movement. A break to the upside, which for rectangle tops does occur much more often in overall bull markets, and I'm definitely arguing that we are in a bullish market as opposed to a bearish market. Why do I say we're in a bullish market? Well, because we are consolidating after price has been moving up, rather than consolidating after prices have been moving down. So that is the definition of a bull market to me, to be a little snide. Not snide, a little bit off the cuff. 11,327 is a good measured move to the upside. That is a kind of a big breakout move. And I'm being pretty conservative with that, because people all over the crypto space are saying, dear Lord, if we break 10,000, it is nothing but moon boots from here. And while that may be true, there are certainly ways to trade, powerful trending strategies, powerful trending signals in the market. But for your, for the initial take profit, for what we're looking at right here, definitely want to be conservative and not crazy with what we're looking for. So, all right. And again, something that I've been pointing out the last few days, or at least something that I want to point out again, whenever you're measuring where you want price to go, right? If you want to trade long, you should also measure where price will go in the event that it goes the opposite way, right? So again, measured move to the downside, should we break down, which occurs about 40% of the time on rectangle tops in bull markets, 7,283. Okay. Now the numbers aren't precise. You can wiggle them around to your particular exchange, to your particular contract, but those are good roadmaps for where I think price is likely to go. All right, and just to be very clear, based on that and a bunch of other factors, this analysis that I put up about the volume profile actually got a lot of likes. So thank you guys. I really appreciate that. I do think that we are going to break to the upside. I think that Bitcoin is reaccumulating in a high volume node, following a previous uptrend. So, and historically, that indicates that we will have a continuation of the uptrend. All right. Let's get down to the lower time frames here and look at Bitcoin, or at least what I was looking at, what I did this morning. Got a few indicators on the chart here. We've got ISISpot, we've got the BitMEX Funding and Premium Index, and indicator I pointed out the other day, which we'll have on here for a few more days, is the CM Williams VIX Fix, right? Very useful indicator. Used to use this a lot back in 2018. Okay, so this is about right when I stepped in and took my first trade. Right around here is when I was doing my analysis, about 6:30 this morning. And I had really wanted to get an entry around 92.45. I was hoping to get an entry around 92. I apologize. Okay, so we're right here. Yeah, I really wanted to get a nice entry right around 92.45, maybe a sweep of these lows. 92.60, that's the area I was targeting. That did not happen. So right after I kind of looked at that, I saw price begin to break to the upside, and I faded it. This was the first trade that I took this morning, at least the first Bitcoin trade that I took this morning. And I did fade this breakout. So I was just in the process of setting my limit entries, and then price decides to put in a big green candle to the upside. And I just looked and I saw, okay, premium, price is in premium, which means that the majority of the market is buying long. We're also overbought on ISISpot. And I was really pretty sure that we were going to get a pullback to 92.45, 92.60, that area. I could get my entry there. That didn't happen, but I was right about fading. And that was a very quick trade. I got in, I got out. Only about a 0.4% movement for me. But again, nice quick scalp like that was a good intraday. Now I didn't get my initial limit entry filled, and I didn't get barely any position to the upside. I was only able to take I think it was about 1.2 BTC to the upside on this market close right here, right? After I saw this initial fake breakout, I saw that we did not go below support. I did end up taking the breakout trade to the upside. And then we can see the ISIS spot sell signal right here. That's where I closed. And I'm generally not in a position. I was looking at this for a while, looking for entry. We do have what you call a bull flag or a pennant, sideways consolidation after a pump in Bitcoin. And you can follow this pattern over and over and over again. This almost always leads to a second leg up or continuation. It is far more probable. So even despite the contango, or despite the premium on derivatives price versus spot price, and despite kind of the fact that everybody wants Bitcoin to fall here, it seems, I think Bitcoin is most likely going to take a second leg up here. And I would be targeting 95.83, any kind of entry around in this area. And I was really waiting, what I'm really waiting for right now is to get an ISIS spot signal to give me an entry right here. So I'm just waiting for a little green triangle that looks kind of like this. And that will be about as good as an entry as I like, because I don't really like any kind of chart patterns or bear flags or symmetrical movements to the downside, in a kind of measured movement up style. They do not work for me. I have not found them to be particularly conducive. So it'll either be a market break, or it will be an ISIS spot signal. That would be kind of the initiation there. So in summary, I'm a bull on Bitcoin. I think we're gonna have a second leg up here, is highly likely, but I'm not in position yet. I've taken 2 trades on Bitcoin this morning. Both were successful, and I'm just sitting neutral on Bitcoin right now. I do have quite a bit of I do have capital in Bitcoin, and I do have a bunch of alt trades. All right, let's look at Ethereum real quick, because Ethereum did a similar movement. All right, so first things first on Ethereum. All right, I wanted to, I was going to make this, and I am probably going to later, make a good analysis tutorial trading view post of this, because this is a beautiful example of the 3-bar rule, okay? So we have this is the Donchian Pathways to Profit System trading strategy. And we have a close above the baseline, okay? And on this bar, right? I want to use the replay mode to highlight this. Okay. On this bar, we have time transformation as the initiator, giving us a signal. We're good to go. We have dynamic money flow approving the trade, but our confirmer's not there yet. So this is not a trading signal. In addition to this, we have the no trade signal from the baseline indicator itself, which lets you know when volatility is too high on this current candle, and you should not enter on this candle. You should wait for a pullback, and has conditions for that too, which you will see right here on the next candle. You get the trade approved condition as price does end up pulling back quite a bit. And on that candle, what happens? You get confirmation. Your true strength index in this case crosses over to the upside on a down candle, and that right there is an entry, right? So daily swing longs on Ethereum were valid on yesterday's daily close. Really, in a beautiful way to do it too, because a pullback is always a good place to enter. When you get it on a daily time frame, so much more the better. And those who took the trade, those who took the signal, were adequately rewarded for it, because not only did they buy down here, so they're up about 3% so far on ETH to the daily. And if we go, I want to measure Quadriga TPs from yesterday. All right, so 248.92, 258, and 267 as measured from yesterday's daily close by Quadriga would be the areas right there, the take profit targets. 225.68 would be the stop loss. Now, get rid of indicators here. We do also have kind of and it's rough, but we have the same kind of rectangle top formation, consolidation formation here. In Ethereum, and again, a simple measured movement of this area. Simple measured movement of this area. It gives us about a 10% range, so I was a little conservative with this, but looking at a target of about 264.08 if you prefer the kind of the discretionary path here. And I did not measure the downside 10% because, like, why would Ethereum do that to us? Like, it's not right. It's not right. We got faith in the DeFi. Let's go. Okay. And kind of getting down to LTFs here. Same thing with Bitcoin. I had set a looser limit entry for ETH this morning. Did not get filled on that. Did not take the breakout trade, so I don't have exposure to ETH. I do see some potential right here. Again, we can see what was the top of resistance here again. We'll just kind of zoom out. We can see this probably a little bit better on the daily. Here you guys go. Resistance about 245. Acting as support right now. Potentially apophenia. But you have a nice little setup right there. That would be aggressive. So having set, setting a limit entry around 245.65, waiting for that to get filled, and then your stop loss would most likely go at 241.50 or 241. Or if you wanted to be like, unfortunately, like the way that it really should be traded, your stop loss would be all the way down here. That's a wide stop loss. So that reduces your position size by quite a bit. So generally, the way that most individuals do these, if they're going to take the breakout trade, is they are going to generally use a relatively tight stop right here. I recommend using a stop loss timeout, particularly with a breakout trade. But breakout trades are the highest risk type of trade to take, in my opinion, generally, because you're just entering into hot spots on the chart. You're entering the hot spots on the chart where you have individuals trying to sell large quantities, and you have retail traders generally trying to buy large quantities, and sometimes retail's right, and you get this huge trend. Those are the trades you want to be in. But more often than not, you buy the top, or at least the local top, right? So potential trade setup here on ETH right now. Not trading this one right now. I am going to wait. I feel more comfortable generally almost always trading Bitcoin discretionarily, so just going to be patient. Okay. So there we go. We've got Bitcoin, Ethereum, Justin's highlight. Trying to think. Yeah, I mean, I can point out a few, right? So I do have one of my automated systems running on Chainlink. And yeah, so this morning I've been tracking Chainlink and trading Chainlink. And this morning I just noticed, yeah, it was right around here. It wasn't perfect. My entry was, I think, 613. Yeah, my entry was 613. We can see the ISIS spot signal buy right here. Put in that bid for about 613. Got filled at 613. And again, not a whole lot to it. Just targeting what I assumed would be a liquidity grab below the recent swing low. So this is when we were right about. Yeah, it's about 5 o'clock in the morning. So this is a little too early. So this is what the market was looking like when I was doing my morning analysis. Right around here. Yeah, right around here. So I just set a limit bid at 613 just to kind of take advantage of this liquidity. Got filled, and 625 I set that. So quick scalp on Link, easy money. And actually there was two more of those opportunities right there. Not a buy signal from the ISIS spot right there, so might not have taken it. And then and then again, one that I think is interesting is WazirX. This is going to be my first time trading WazirX. This is kind of an interesting one. But so here we have a good example. There's a couple ways that I could have done this. The daily looks quite good on WazirX. So I already had the impetus, the condition, the confirmation to be looking for discretionary trades if I want to as part of my system. There are certain conditions that have to be true on the daily and the 4 hour for you to be looking for lower time frame trades. That's the way that I trade. So this was true in the case of WazirX. And so a couple attempts here. So I planned for this through my position sizing. The first attempt, I did try to go for the breakout trade, the BPC. I got filled at 1512 and thought that was going to be okay for a while, but price ended up closing below. This is actually when I went to go do my workout this morning. I came back, price was here. Because of this, when I set up this trade initially, it's not that big of a range. It's about a 5% range. So yeah, my stop loss is down here, where it should be, because I don't like getting pushed out of a trade. But anyways, price has come back down to the consolidation area. So again, I've averaged down to about 1487. You guys can actually see this line right here. I think it's actually 1489 is my average entry for WazirX. So this will be kind of an interesting one. All right, just like, let me take a look at the chart, or excuse me. Let me take a look at the chat. All right, I'm just going to take the first request I see. I see Rhino TD here asking for Matic BTC. Let's take a look, man. I'll let you replace the Dogecoin chart. Get out of here, Doge. Want my bags. Let's go, 50 sats. All right. Come on, man. Matic BTC incoming. Now let's start off on the daily. All right. All right. And probably right here I'd want to buy too. Okay, so mapping out general support and resistance. Not too many lines. I just want them to be important. I feel like, yeah, you can clearly see some good horizontal levels here. Look at volume profile here. All right, so we've kind of got the fair market price of Matic right around 181 sats. So we're above that. So price is relatively bullish. We can see 181 acting as resistance over here in the first place, and then obviously support. So, here, consolidation underneath. That kind of makes sense, as well as the flow of the market. Attempt to push back up. Okay. So we want to get above 293 sats for Matic to Moon. I'm assuming that's the goal here, right? 293 is going to be some pretty significant resistance, as we can see. This is going to be where we have rejected from twice before. We'll see if we can make it change this time. Again, the area of around 180 is going to act as pretty strong support. Getting below that, we don't have a lot of historicity for this, right? Because obviously this was Matic when it first launched and below 181 sats. But after we came above and had our first initial kind of blow off here, we accumulated there twice before putting in worthy trades. Certainly worthy trades. 60% here, and I'm assuming about 60% here. With some fake outs. Those definitely seem designed to scare you out of the market. All right, so put that there. Market yellow. All right, having said that, you know, I see some potential here, but this isn't really the type of trade setup that I like. I would have rather liked to have looked for an entry here at support. And by that I mean like 3 screens, like waiting for price to come down to this level, and then going to a lower time frame and looking for a signal, for example, the 3 screens method. I don't really like this where it is right now, discretionarily. So let's see if it's something we would take anyways, based on the daily. So this is the Donchian system, and we don't have a trading signal. Not today. Matic BTC is crossing the baseline on today's daily candle close. True Strength Index is not there. And time transformation did cross over 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 bars ago. So this is a little bit of a bridge too far, man. It's a bit of a bridge too far for me. So does not look like my system wants to take this trade. Let's look at Doesn't seem right. Yeah. Initiation, and we need parallax. And parallax is not there either. All right, so clean this up. By the way, I didn't mention it on stream the other day, but I certainly did fix the Wadatar explosion indicator. Don Camden, if you're listening, you had been talking about the zooming issue. I believe I have fixed that. Please let me know if it is fixed to your satisfaction. So yeah, breaking Bitcoin system is not there either, but I'm going to do what I can for you, man. Let's see what we got. All right, so daily is in a little bit of a baby uptrend. Fibonacci trend is upwards. So you could fool yourself. You could talk yourself into taking this trade. It's fine. I mean, it's certainly not moving down. We got some decent volume. 4 hours looking a little overextended. Not the area that I want to enter. And I don't really see... Yeah, I don't really see any... See, there was good wind up here. A lot of consolidation, good opportunities to enter, and then you get a nice 13-14% movement. Don't know if 58 4-hour bars is enough to generate that same movement. But let's try it. Again, we'd already marked this green line off as support. See it acting as a significant market level. Yellow we'll just use to denote resistance. So again, same thing. Rectangle pattern. We've got a 10% movement here. Measure that from the top. 10% movement takes us right back to where we've already been. All right. So looking around 240 sats, I would actually probably undercut this just a little bit. I would move that down to 240. Be a little bit more conservative. Yes, I like that. And 4 hour looks overextended. I would not enter right here. No, no, no. Not on a big green volume spike. A couple ways to do this. You could either be patient, set your limit bid closer to 220, 222. Try to take advantage of this. Or you're going to have to monitor this one and wait for an entry. So something like having waited for this one right here. Would have given you an entry after all of this. Around 211 sats. You had to wait. 191 bars a day, almost 2 days. And then you would have been rewarded. So I would be looking at Matic around 222 sats or lower time frame bottoming indicator of your choice, sir. Thank you for the request, man. I really appreciate it. Take another sip of this coffee. And with that being said, I didn't actually take a sip of the coffee, my bad. Okay. All right, we're going to do the market wrap up here next. Before we do that, before we do that, if you guys enjoy the analysis, if you guys would like to learn how to build your own trading systems as well, so that one day you're the guy, maybe on the other end of the webcam, teaching individuals how to do that. But again, this is a world where those who have the tools and skills at their disposal will certainly be more dangerous and competent than those who don't. And that's why I learned in the first place. So if you guys would like to learn methods of how we do analysis, if you guys would like to learn how to build your own objective data-driven strategy so that you do not have to rely on anybody else ever at any point in time to let you know what to trade, when to trade, how to trade. If you want to begin that pathway toward financial freedom, you can join our community of professional traders. You can take advantage of our premium indicator suite, proprietary indicator suite, our premium signal service, and our online trading academy. We're getting a huge facelift come this weekend, Monday. Not exactly sure which day, but again, pathways to profit. The entire facelift is almost done. I have been working furiously on it. I've already put in about 4 hours of work on it today already, just this morning. So I'm very excited about it. It's going to look amazing and really make the whole strategy creation process much easier because the course has been live for about a year now. And I've learned so much from mentoring individuals through that course and teaching them how it works and building strategies with individuals. It's been a pleasure. It's been a real treat. But I listen to feedback, and so I've listened to all the feedback that I've gotten from the course. What concepts were laid out well, what concepts could be improved, and kind of the new format that we're going to have with it being online, or excuse me, on the website, on the Online Trading Academy, is just a lot more control and the ability to teach and do quizzes and track everybody's progress. And it's just going to be a much better platform. So if you guys would like to sign up today, you guys can go to premium.krakencryptocurrency.com and join our community. Okay, next, we're going to do the market wrap up. All right, so we talked about crypto, we talked about Bitcoin, we talked about Ethereum, kind of where I'm at with it. Overall market summary, S&P 500, giving back some of its gains so far, as is the NASDAQ, the Dow actually slipping into the negative. Japan, the DAX, and the FTSE down moderately. So slipping a little bit as we move in. We'll look at currencies here in a little bit. I have quite a few FOREX trades open. 1, 2, 3, 4. I have 4 FOREX trades open, excuse me. All of them are in profit. Some of them have run quite well. Actually, no, excuse me. Not too well. Like, I think the CAD Swissy is probably the best performer here. Let's go look at that. Here's my green list. Yeah, so CAD Swissy, probably the best performer here. Again, putting in, I guess for the third time, a bottom here. But short on the CAD Swiss, we've hit our first take profit. Stop loss is at break even. This has been a really good trade so far. As we can see, objective trading signal generated when we crossed underneath the baseline. And so kind of had to hold on to this one for a while. No, excuse me. No. We got the no trade signal and we did enter there. Yeah, I'm sorry. This trade's been open for a while. The CAD Swissy. Been open since the 15th. Okay. So time transformation, TSI, DMF, all very helpful, all predictive here. The Euro Swissy as well. You can see it moving very similarly with the CAD Swissy, poking its head up from the bottom. But again, already a trade that we've hit TP1 on. Stop loss move to break even. USD, the dollar UN, which was probably so far my best FOREX trade, not ever, but in the last, certainly in July. If I even entered in July, I entered on the 30th of June. Okay, sorry, entered on the 30th of June. This has already hit TP1. The entry was on this candle right here. A few days of not much, and then obviously big down movement from the dollar UN. The Aussie Kiwi we are short on as well. Yes, TP1's been hit on that. Stop losses at break even as well. So no exit signals on those yet. Looks like potential bottoms may be forming, but again, that can be misleading. So we just have to wait for the charts to let us know what to do. Over in CFD land, taking some exposure long on Palladium. We might have to revisit that. We are actually up moderately on XBDUSD on the CFD. So exiting right now would be a little bit of profit, mostly break even. But I do see time transformation crossing back under here, which I'm not a big fan of. So we will review that trade later on at daily close. As far as the baseline goes, this is still a relatively bullish chart. We have DMF and TSI confirming the trades. But again, I've been talking about this quite a bit. Palladium, we tried to take a short over there. I broke even on that one. Trying to take a long, would not surprise me if we broke even. But again, Palladium will give us that nice movement as long as we continue swinging for it and managing our risk properly. And then the India 50 CFD took this long right here. And so far I've been pulled in about 3% on that trade so far because TP1 did hit stop losses at break even. So really relaxing so far on CFDs and ETF trades. USO on the ETFs, we did end up taking the continuation signal right here and rode this one up as well for about a 3% gain on USO already. And then RJZ, which just continues to gap up higher and higher and higher, and I love it. Here was our entry in RJZ. So about, where are we at? About 4% on RJZ, which is good. Nice, slow, smooth, calm, patient trading. Okay. All right, right, so FOREX. Let me pull up the chat if anybody has any FOREX requests or precious metal requests or indice requests. We can do that here. We're going to look at the indices real quick by looking at the ETFs. So we're going to look at the DIA real quick as a proxy for the Dow. Again, I can't take any long trades on the Dow. We see our true strength index is crossed under. TSI is crossed under, and dynamic money flow is positive, which are two conflicting signals. So I have my confirmer telling me to trade in one direction, and I have volume telling me to trade in another, and cannot do such a thing. We've oscillated around the baseline here on the Dow for about since the 11th of June, right? So about a month. Not a whole lot of action or activity. This is consolidation, right? This is consolidation. This does begin to look a little bit. It has to flesh out more, and you're certainly not going to see me. Yeah, I'm going to do it. I'm going to go ahead and draw a unfinished descending triangle. But it is beginning to potentially have some characteristics of a descending triangle. Descending triangles do not tend to have a good track record of breaking to the downside in a bull market. And so this would have to be not only a descending triangle that actually does break to the downside in a bear market, it would also have to be the moment when the market shifts from bullish to bearish, like as the significant reversal point. So kind of banking on quite a lot for that. Again, ultimately doesn't concern me too much at the moment because I don't have a lot of traditional market exposure. I've taken the liberty. I practice what I preach. I have moved again, the capital that matters, like out of the market. There are better places for it to be in. I don't care if I don't make money, right? Trading for active income is one thing, right? You have to follow volatility. You have to go where the volatility goes. Investing for the long term requires forethought, and it means putting your money in what you understand and what you believe in, okay? There are some companies, there are some great stocks out there that I understand and I have my money in, and I don't really care what the price of the asset is. I know that the ownership of that stock is valuable in and of itself, right? But as far as just randomly having exposure to the market, which honestly, at the end of the day, when you go into any wealth manager's office and ask them to invest your money for you, and they're going to put it in the stock market, ask them to justify why they're making the allocations that they're making, because they're going to be long only. They almost all, call up TD Ameritrade, call up Fidelity, and tell them you want to short the stock market. Tell them that. And they will tell you, most likely, that they can't even do that for you. And even if they can, they will certainly advise you heavily against that, because these people believe stocks only go up. And that's simply not true. It's true to a degree, right? It's true to a degree. So it'd be interesting to see how this one plays out. NASDAQ, different story. Again, these indices tend to move in lockstep. I don't generally find that there's a huge variation in trading the different indices. But if an indice is signaling and another indice is not, I will obviously trade the indice that's signaling and not use it as a proxy for the other indice. Some of my students do that. I do not. All right. So looking at the QQQ here, we do have pretty bullish activity here. We did have a continuation trade on the NASDAQ here on the 30th of July. That would have been a good trade. We can see the crossover from time transformation here above the baseline, DMF approving, leading to about a 5% gain. About a 5% gain. No exit signal so far. Let's check. Yeah, not even from ISA spot. So things are relatively dapper over here. And finally, looking at the SPY, Mac Daddy of the SPY. Again, very much like the Dow, right? Beginning to form what begins to potentially look like a bit of a descending triangle. We had already marked out our support and resistance here at 321.10 and 302.23. Those are the levels that I'm going to use. They seem right to me. If you don't like them, you can draw your own. If this fleshes out a little bit more, we can talk about maybe a rectangle top, or we can talk about whatever it begins to look like at that point in time. But again, the only data that we have right now is relatively equal lows and a swing high followed by a lower high, which begins to fit the pattern of a slightly bearish formation, a descending triangle, or at least the power of the sellers getting lower and lower and the strength of the buyers staying the same. Just have to wait to see who gets overwhelmed first. Break at 321.10. I would be tentative to trade at this point in time. I mostly on the indices just follow my trading system because I do not have enough time to monitor cryptocurrency as closely as I do, which I think is more profitable, it's more liquid, it's easier to trade rather than stocks. So if I'm going to, although I do trade stocks, correction, I trade ETFs mostly, daily time frame is much better way to do that. Same with Forex. That's about all I got for indices. Let's take a quick look at our precious metals before we proceed. Looking at gold, obviously, I could have picked this as the headline for today. Gold, big in the news. So looking at gold, Zhao actually signaled a continuation long yesterday on yesterday's daily close, 7th of July. We have the time transformation crossover. We have dynamic money flow positive and true strength index positive as well. And this is why, listen, guys, I talk about this in the course for the premium members who are watching. When it comes to volume filters or volatility filters, vol filters, the volume moving average is okay. I know a lot of individuals come to me, and in fact, I have an analyst running a strategy who utilizes the volume moving average, and he has good results. But I do think that you are underserving yourself utilizing the volume moving average. I think that you want something that is a little smoother. I think you want a good volume indicator and not just the volume moving average. Is price above or below the volume moving average? It's not bad. It works in a pinch, but certainly if you've had your system running for 3 months, live trading, that is the first thing that I would revisit. As we can see here, it would have lifted. So let's go back and let's just see where we're at with gold. All right. So on yesterday's daily close, we were looking at targets of 1815, 1836, 1857, and invalidation at 1764. Remember that 1815. All right. And today hitting a high of 1818. All right. Cheers to the hodlers out there. All right. So it is time. Move your stop loss to break even if you are long on gold right now. And, if I were going to play this a certain way, we can see, let's say you didn't get into this trade. I think we could develop an opportunity here. We're justified in this. I have to be pretty conservative on this one. I'm going to do it like this. So we can see the rectangle top. We can see the formation, the consolidation pattern that Bitcoin formed, that gold formed just like Bitcoin before breaking out. I think Bitcoin is probably going to follow along just like gold here. And Bitcoin hasn't even done this on the daily, right? So look what gold has done here. Let's go back and look. All right, go back and look at Bitcoin. We can see the exact same formation here on Bitcoin, and Bitcoin hasn't actually broken out yet. Again, I'm just going to go ahead and put that as a feather in the cap as to why I think Bitcoin is going to break out. Well, let's say we get a pullback here. Okay, the area to target for the first pullback is 1743.29 or 1743 or just 1740. Would be good. And then you can take that. I think we've already probably hit this measured movement. It's only about 3.5%. And I feel like we have already, we have actually overshot that just a little bit. It would be you'd have to trade for double top. Pull back to 1743 and then take that trade back up. And you can take half of your profit off at half of that distance is a good idea if you want to be a little bit more conservative. That way you can more rapidly move your stop loss to break even, just in case the trade gets a little iffy. All right, we already talked about palladium. Oh, whoops, you know what? Okay, good, I am on the right chart. Let's go look at silver. Silver in play as well, generating that continuation signal on yesterday's daily close. Again, nice pullback, entry on silver at 1825 roughly, and up about 2.5% on today's daily close. Everything looks pretty good with silver here. This is actually far more ascending. It's actually more bullish than gold. It makes me very happy that I've been stacking more silver than gold. It's not because it's cheaper. Not because it's cheaper. It's because it's cheaper. Okay. So good CFD trades, good precious metal trades in play. Let's go see where we'd be targeting for silver here. I told you guys I was going to be mad if you made me turn that fan off, and it is hot in here. You guys have to see this. Man. I'm just going to need everybody who's watching with an air conditioner right now to just say something in the chat. Just let me know you guys are out there. Like, cool me but via proxy. All right, so yesterday we were looking on silver's daily close, 1868, 1909, and 1951. I do believe, of course, yeah, with a high of 1876, we've already hit that first. So very similar, that first take profit. So very similar to gold. This is the time to move the stop losses to break even and trail for this particular trade. And challenged investors like, no, I am going to trail all the way to 48.50, sir. I certainly hope so. Nothing would make me happier. All right, because, if I may, let's look at the silver USD weekly chart on Awanda. And there are really two possibilities here. All right, so this is the weekly chart of silver, and I'm just gonna follow this back to December 2014. This is where we really begin with this long-term, this 6-year consolidation on silver, guys. All right, you guys want to know what market manipulation looks like? This is it. This is what market manipulation looks like. And so I will mark this up maybe later on today, but I just want to point out a few things very briefly here. We have 6-year consolidation on silver here. Fake break to the upside, right? Traps a lot of longs. They get wrecked right here and distributed. They panic sell. Back down to support. This is where the market has bid back up again. Rejection, double top rejection. And then, of course, we have the March meltdown where everything absolutely plummeted. Again, you could argue that that wasn't supposed to happen, but it certainly did. And now, what has price done along with everything else? Climbed all the way back up. Now, what is hard to kind of accept is that, oh man, like just looking at the chart, like not only did we rally all the way to the top in such a brief span of time, but you're also going to say that we're now going to do the breakout to the upside? I don't think so. And I get it. It is hard to believe. But hey, like I said, may not be the bull market that we need or deserve, but it is potentially the bull market that we need. So silver has been in this range for about 6 years. It has tapped the lows once, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 times. So 6 times in 6 years. And it has. Silver's been accumulating. Has been accumulated. It's been accumulated. It's time to go. So that's a 28% movement. I'm actually going to be a little bit more bullish on that and go for 30, which conveniently takes us back up to a previous level of resistance. That takes us up to about $24, right? Ways away from challenge investors 48.50, but I think that's a reasonable measured movement. That is an area where price has traded before. It's a popular area of the chart. Not the most popular, but certainly a reasonable longer term swing target for silver on the weekly time frame. All right, and a little bit of platinum. Platinum actually looking good today. Let's take a gander here. Actually generating a trading signal on today's candle. We do seem to be trading above the qualifying line. So I will potentially be looking for pullbacks on platinum as long as it fits into my risk profile at scan time. Maybe around 831. All right. At 831. I just had to pick a pullback area. Yeah. Maybe we don't get that close. Maybe about 837 or above, 840 I might be happy with. Okay. FOREX, precious metals, and indices we covered. All right. Scroll up here. Got a lot of good questions. And I certainly want to get to all those. What time is it? All right, it is 1:18. All right, I got to start speeding through so we can get to the community mentoring session. So we got to get to today's news. I want to talk about the BlueLeaks data. We're going to get into the cryptocurrency segment, and then we'll answer as many questions as you can. I'll try to bring the guys on, and we'll try to get this done before the community mentoring session at 2 o'clock. Or I've got to go another 2 hours with the premium members, but that stuff's fun. All right. All right, yeah, before we get to the news, if you guys want to support the channel, or if you guys want to take some of the trades that we're taking, obviously we talk a lot about different exchanges. You guys are going to have to do the research, figure out exactly what exchange is best for you. But again, I'm very, very, very picky about my exchanges. There are many exchanges that email me all the time asking me to go trade on their platform. But if it's not easy to use, and if I can't do all the things that I want, I am not going to use your crappy exchange. I don't care how many cool features you have. And probably what has contributed to my positive attitude over the last, it's been about a year now, is getting off of BitMEX and doing my margin trading on Bybit. So if you guys want to trade on a better exchange, if you're getting wicked out on BitMEX, highly recommend you try Bybit out. FTX is awesome as well. There's a lot of better alternatives. I don't really care what you use. Just please stop using Bybit. Or stop using BitMEX. And in honor of that, I'm going to play. Let's see how Jason's doing over at Bybit. When we come back, after we check in with Jason, we're going to go to the news, then we're going to answer you guys' questions live with the guys. We'll be right back. Can't catch a break over on BitMEX with all the wicks? Try a better alternative at bybit.krakencryptocurrency.com and rest easy for a change. Okay, how you guys doing? All right, so a couple quick news tidbits in today's cryptocurrency segment before we get into the big news. So this first one, Kraken Security Labs has identified 2 new attacks that, if executed successfully by malicious actors, could compromise the security of Ledger Nano X hardware wallets. So these attacks affect wallets that are tampered with prior to the user receiving the wallets, as might occur in the event that is intercepted during shipment or purchased from a malicious reseller. Okay, so right here, these attacks affect wallets tampered with prior to the user receiving the wallet. So this is not really, in essence, trying to think of the right application of that saying. It's a feature, not a bug. It's certainly not a feature, and it's really not a bug. But this obviously this is a concern when purchasing hardware wallets. Is how can we, obviously we are investing some level of trust into the hardware manufacturer. Now, my opinion on this is, again, very similar to Andreas Antonopoulos's, which is if you purchase directly from the vendor, you are going to avoid, there's always a risk, but it is so, infinitesimally small. It is very, very, very small, as opposed to almost, I'm going to say the absolute mass majority of all cryptocurrency users. Most cryptocurrency users are not power users. Most cryptocurrency users are going to be more comfortable just purchasing crypto and putting it in a hardware wallet. That is what I do as well. Okay, and I am a former Armory, strapped up Armory, running my own full node software wallet user, and again, I still run my own full node. Again, I'm running the new Electrum. I have my Lightning node set up. Doing all the right things, guys. Come on, Bitcoin core devs, just throw me a bone here. But the big danger with hardware wallets is, or at least one concern is, when you purchase them from resellers. Obviously, that's a huge no-no. So, in my opinion, I'm going to drop this link in the chat if you guys want to check this out. This is from Kraken's blog. But just review this if you own a Ledger Nano X, as I do myself. So I reviewed this. I didn't see anything in here that concerned me or would concern anybody, I think, that has actually purchased a ledger from Ledger itself. So only, again, here's what you can do to protect yourself. Only buy ledgers from trusted stores. Do not use a ledger that anybody on YouTube gives you in a free giveaway or that you find in a parking lot, right? Again, no disrespect to Crypto Zombie. I like his videos. I don't really get to watch them, but cool cat. He gives away a Ledger Nano all the time, and I get why. I think that's really cool, but I would not use a Ledger Nano that somebody had given away to me. Just the worry that potentially it's been tampered with. The best thing that you can do is when you're choosing the software device that you're going to be storing your wealth on, you are basically picking. When you purchase a hardware wallet, you are getting the opportunity to purchase like the physical integrity of your bank. Okay, you do not want to skimp on your bank, right? You do not want to use the bank that comes, solicited to you in the mail. You kind of want to use the bank that you got to search out. So definitely do not buy Ledger Nano X's from resellers or off eBay or anywhere else. Just buy them directly from the Ledger Nano store. And always verify transactions on the Ledger Nano X wallet. Okay, good stuff. So just in general, best practices. You guys want a ledger? Listen, I don't even know. I know we have a link. I think it might save you money. I have no idea. It's probably ledger.krakencryptocurrency.com. It's worth a shot if you guys want to pick one up. That shows you guys how much I pay attention to emails that we get. Okay. So Catalyst was launched. And just a day later, Kyber Network's pools are harboring over $15 million in user funds. Okay, so staking pools on Kyber Network have now locked up $15 million in user funds one day after the launch of Catalyst. And this was a network upgrade that would incentivize users to participate in their decentralized governance protocol by rewarding them. All right, so still quite a bit of ways away from Compound or MakerDAO as far as the amount of NAV locked up, for example, but pretty impressive. That's quite a bit of money in 24 hours. And again, these rewards, I mean, you can see why. Look at these rewards. 65% of all fees on Catalyst will go to staking rewards, 30% to reserve rebates for Fed price reserves, right? FPRs. And the remaining 5% is set aside for purchasing KNC tokens and burning them using Chainlink price feeds. We did cover that earlier, where KNC, Kyber Network, was using Chainlink as their Oracle on-chain. So if you guys want to do some research on this, obviously DeFi is all the latest craze. I do not think that most individuals want to run out and start DeFiing right now. Or let me put it to you this way. I don't think that individuals should most likely run out and begin throwing all their money into DeFi right now, because I've seen this happen time and time again. Something becomes very popular in cryptocurrency that's actually been around for a while, and then it reaches a level of kind of the public now knows about it, and then they tend to get like ultra, what's the word I'm looking for? Euphoric about it, or very bullish about it, and it's generally not the right time to begin accumulating kind of a long-term position. And it's fine if you're trading. Like, it's okay to take speculative trades if you know that you're trading. But unfortunately, what a lot of individuals will do is they won't trade. They will invest at very high price levels, and then they'll hold that bag all the way down, right? 80% of the cryptocurrency market from 2018 to 2019, I am talking to you. You hear me? When you are looking to invest for the long term, there is never, oh, I got to get in now because it's such a good price. That is silly, right? Investing for the long term takes time. You should patiently dollar cost average in at reasonable price levels and according to a game plan. You should develop a roadmap of where you think price is likely to go. And you should be willing to purchase your investment kind of regardless of what price it is, if you're planning on holding for the long term. And you certainly do not do it all in one go. So, again, DeFi is cool. I provide liquidity to Uniswap, playing around a little bit. A couple other DeFi things that I'm doing. Kyber's pretty awesome. Obviously, I've been trading Kyber quite a bit, so Kyber's super awesome on FTX. But just I want you guys to just have a little bit of caution here, right? All right, never miss an opportunity to make fun of my favorite coin, ZERP. So there was a viral ZERP tweet that triggered a pretty big debate on the future of XRP. So Binance posted this: XRP is blank. I'll give you guys a moment. Fill in the blank. Go ahead. Did you guess? Dead. Then you would have won. Congratulations. Sorry. So, a huge wave of, bearish and poking the fun at XRP kind of resumed. And, immediately to the rescue was, just the XRP army. The XRP army came in. And I would say this argument has hit a fevered pitch, but ultimately this isn't really predictive as far as price or anything else goes. It's just funny, right? It's just funny. Something to break the mood. You can really tell that it's talking about XRP has gotten sensitive, man. It's gotten sensitive. It was all fun and games until it just refused to go up with everything else. Just refused to go up. All right, our last little tidbit here is Justin Sun, the CEO of Tron, wants to replicate Dogecoin's TikTok success. You have to know that Justin Sun, he of the marketing mastery, is just sitting there watching Dogecoin pump, watching this viral meme, and he's like, why didn't I think of that? Well, I could have pushed TRX at 50%, and I could have bought like 3 or 4 more other blockchains. What the heck? What am I doing with my life? So Justin Sun tweeting, starting today, we'll focus on more TikTok content. Stay tuned for Tron videos going viral. Now, I don't know if it's necessarily going to work that way, like if we know about it in advance. TikTok is pretty like ADHD. So, the whole, hey, this is a cryptocurrency. Cool, let's all buy it. We've never seen this before. WTF? It could be that kind of flavor is already gone. It only takes one day. Not everything can go viral, Mr. Sun. But if anybody can do it, Justin can. Let's go take a look at Tron. All right. We're going to replace Chainlink. TRX BTC. Yeah, so something interesting that Alex had pointed out as well, and I certainly wanted to kind of bring that to the limelight. Alex was, and maybe I'll get him on here to talk about it in a little bit, but again, he was talking about, Bitcoin dominance and seeing it go down, watching Bitcoin dominance drop, and really expecting pretty big catalyst movements as the money he begins to see flowing out of the low sat coins, the low caps, into the large sat coins. So potentially finally beginning to make their move. And again, even XRP, which has just basically refused to move up at any point in time over the last 2 years, finally putting in a little bit of a baby bottom. Here on regular bullish divergence too, I might add. So, yeah. All right, main story of the day. Right here. Okay, so some may have heard of this data dump that was leaked onto the internet called BlueLeaks. BlueLeaks is a 270 gigabyte trove of law enforcement data. And one of the interesting things to come out of it is an FBI report from their Washington field office that reveals how they have tracked and traced dark web criminals laundering dirty Bitcoin by converting it into the privacy coin Monero. Right. So obviously it's not really any surprise that they know that this is a practice. For those of you guys who did not know, Monero is a privacy coin. It is very difficult to trace. Bitcoin is pseudo-anonymous, but it's also highly valuable, so it's desired. And Bitcoin was for a very long time used as the primary form of currency on the dark web. Dark web has generally shifted to Monero because it is much harder to trace, and it offers a few more advanced methods. But what is really happening is there's still the currency conversion, right? And that's the weak point, right? There's still a place here of weakness. There's a zone of weakness, and that is the Bitcoin getting converted to Monero going in, and the Monero getting converted to Bitcoin going out, right? And looking for that opportunity to trace criminals that way. So in these leaked FBI documents, there were 3 cases that were described in which 3 bad actors, or maybe they were good actors, we don't know. They used a crypto exchange based in Panama called Morph Token to launder crime-related Bitcoin by converting the Bitcoin that was generated through criminal activities into or received in return for goods and services that are illicit, by converting that Bitcoin into Monero. And there were two dark web markets at the center of these cases, including Apollon and Kryptonia. I've never even heard of those two. Maybe I'm just not as cool as I thought. No, I'm kidding. According to documents, as of January 2020, the FBI had identified actors. Here we go, yeah. So, cover this point next. All right, so as early as January 2020, the FBI had identified the individuals responsible that were operating on these particular dark web markets that sent at least, now I'm kind of, this number's kind of silly, 11 Bitcoin to Morph token for conversion into Monero. I mean, listen, guys. Listen. 11 Bitcoin times price in January. I'm just going to say 9,000, okay? $99,000. Okay? Really? Listen, I'm not saying that the government is spending its money improperly, because it's so clearly obvious. Why is my tax money going to preventing $100,000 in dark web cocaine sales? So, libertarian stab right here. I got to take this opportunity. I don't support, or I don't advocate the use of substances. Okay, I think that a life is going to be much, much better. My life is much, much better without the use of those. Coffee doesn't count. Don't get on my back. But for those individuals who want to do what they want and they're not hurting other individuals, I mean, the numbers on this are clear. The economics on this are clear. The libertarian and the anarchist argument on this is very, very clear. And I think it's pretty much inarguable. That I think there is far more harm done to society from this punitive legislation and this attempted outlawing of, consumption. So this is silly, and we're gonna have all these problems. And I mean, we are really talking about stepping over dollars to pick up pennies here. 11 Bitcoin, $99,000. I mean, how much money was invested by the federal government to do all of this? Certainly millions of dollars. So there is a huge imbalance there. You don't step over dollars to pick up pennies. Okay, getting back to the story. Okay. So the FBI, to do this, used a quote-unquote proprietary software tool. I don't know. Maybe it's a proprietary software tool. Maybe they just hired CipherTrace. But this tool analyzes financial transactions on the Bitcoin blockchain alongside Morph Token's own API system to monitor and track these transactions. Okay, so what I'm getting from that is that they probably look at the order book and look at quantity of size and then look at amount sent on the blockchain. So they basically developed a macro scheduler bot. Awesome. I don't even know how to program, and I believe I can do that. Just correlating, because you can do that with a spreadsheet. Okay, time here, size here, time here, size here. Ah, got it. Come on, guys. It's a proprietary tool. For the FBI, got to be really proud of them, right? This is probably big work for them. They have learned how to use Excel. The FBI also looked at commission fees that were paid to the management of the Kryptonia marketplace by looking at Bitcoin transactions completed between May and September of 2019, which showed that they too are the individuals that were responsible for managing this Kryptonia dark web marketplace, moved their Bitcoin to addresses associated with Morph Token, the Panama exchange, that converted and laundered them using Monero. So, according to these reports, every transaction that the FBI tracked via Morph Token's API was somehow converted to Monero. So, in November 2019, the FBI also identified at least 4 dark web vendors who sent Bitcoin drug sale proceeds to Morph Token. It annoys me, right? I mean, I have a slightly different opinion when we're talking about like maybe highly violent criminal gangs. Certainly not supportive of those. And by the way, legalizing substances generally gets rid of those. It's only when you have a dark market that you get violent criminals that run the dark market. When you have a legal market, like when I go to if I were to go to the gas station to buy a can of beer or buy a pack of cigarettes, I do not have to negotiate with any mafiosos. I do not have to negotiate with any cartels because it's legal. And you've got the biggest cartel of them all, the government, that's like, no, that's our territory. But why they don't want to slice of that pie, I will never understand. Eventually, I'll figure it out. But yeah, the majority, I mean, overwhelmingly, like who most likely purchases substances on the dark web? Probably your recreational, boring computer nerds to some degree. Come on. This is not money well spent. So the report goes on to explain that despite Morph Token offering to convert Bitcoin into 5 different cryptocurrencies, they pretty much just said that as fluff. Almost all their conversions came from dark web market actors, and the purpose of sending the Bitcoin to Morph Token Exchange was to convert Bitcoin into Monero. In these scenarios, the FBI explicitly operates under the assumption that these individuals are not chain hopping into Monero with the intent of portfolio diversification, but of course explicitly for the purpose of hiding their tracks and laundering the money. And Morph Token is an instant crypto exchange, so that allows users to instantly hot swap conversions of one cryptocurrency to another on the fly, without having to have an account or anything like that. Very similar to like doing a transaction. No KYC. Okay, so Morph Token is, of course, incorporated in Panama. That's a jurisdiction that has not implemented any regulations for virtual currencies or cryptocurrency exchanges. And through leaks like the Panama Papers, Panama has become synonymous with bank secrecy. And it's pretty popular to use the legal protections and corporate structures in Panama to shield the anonymity of tax evaders and money launderers. It's the most awesome place on earth. Let's see here. All right, so we can talk about kind of Monero's properties here, obviously being designed for privacy, but kind of the takeaway from this is, surely, to a degree, law enforcement cracking down on crime, in my opinion, is a good thing, right? But is this a good thing for Bitcoin? Probably yes. The fact that Bitcoin is utilized for illicit activities doesn't really mean anything negative, in my opinion, because more crime is done with Benjamins rather than the blockchain, right? There's a reason most dollar bills carry traces of cocaine. And the fact that criminals adopt the technology first and utilize it first just goes to show how powerful and useful it is. Monero, on the other hand, because it seems that its kind of main purpose here, as far as I've seen, is to somewhat launder money, and I get Monero. Like, I support Monero, but it has these aspects of it that I think will make it very, very hard to achieve kind of the regulatory seal of approval, which it seems Bitcoin will be kind of primed to do. And I think that means that and we've already seen this with the travel ban rule. Monero already getting hit. A lot of exchanges already delisting Monero, which reduces the liquidity pool for it. But if its built-in privacy features make it very popular for those who do want to highlight security and privacy. And privacy is extremely important for us to have in our transactions, right? Digital privacy is an aspect of liberty. Privacy is freedom. So I just think that this is bad for Monero moving forward. I would argue that it's bad for Monero moving forward. Even though we're seeing it develop a use case, it's not a use case that we want. And with Bitcoin, again, it has more use cases than that. But I think that Monero is going to have a hard time moving forward ahead. And again, it's kind of reasons like that that I don't really consider Monero or privacy coins in general a good investment. I never really have. But it's because it's easy to predict a future where you can see privacy coins specifically being targeted by governments and being outlawed and removed from any mainstream or legitimate exchanges. Which, if you want to kill a crypto, take it off of Binance. But what do you guys think? Like, how do you guys think this is going to affect cryptocurrency in the future? How do you guys think this is going to affect Bitcoin? How do you guys think this is going to affect Monero? And overall, kind of what are your thoughts about generally the story or dark webs in general? I want to pick a comment on tomorrow's show and highlight it. So let me know what you guys really think down there. And if you guys are watching on Twitch or DLive and you don't have a comment section down there, you just hop by the YouTube channel, leave the comment down there, hit the like button while you're here. It's cool. All right, we are going to go. I'm going to get the guys on. We've got about 20 minutes left before we got to go. I did want to talk about Ethereum a little bit, but I'm going to save that for tomorrow because the show is running so long. Okay, we're going to get into questions and answers. I'm going to get the guys on. But before we do that, speaking of privacy and digital security, if you care about cryptocurrency and privacy, make sure to check out our friends at Spectre Security Coin. They are working to put the power of your data back in your hands. You can join their community. It's free. Take advantage of all their products and services. They've got some really cool stuff. Probably the coolest one is their private consultation. If you guys are not that computer savvy or digital security, digital privacy savvy, those guys over at Spectre Security will be happy to sit down with you, kind of look at how you're set up, look at your digital footprint, and work with you to reduce that and allow you to really follow best practices for online security and privacy. Step one, don't create a YouTube channel and use your real name. Let me tell you. But if you guys want to check them out, visit Spectre, that's spectre.krakencryptocurrency.com. To view all their products, all their services, and you can download their wallet app for free and use their cryptocurrency. It's pretty cool. All right, links in the description. So I'm going to get the guys on the channel. We'll be right back, and we will answer your guys' questions as best as we can, starting off with the pre-selected question of the day, which comes from Don Camden, asking if exchanges are whales exchanges, vice versa. We'll find out. Stay tuned.
Jason, you went super quiet.
Okay, I am joined by, we've got senior analyst Alexander, we've got producer Crypto Jack, we've got junior analyst Jason. How you guys doing today?
Fantabulous.
Doing good. What's up?
Okay, Alex, cool. You can hear us now. We had some mic issues there for just half a second.
Yeah.
All right, we are good. All right, so we've got like I wanted to say 20 minutes, but it's really like 13. So we can do this. We can totally do this.
Yeah.
Did you guys have any thoughts on the Monero, Bitcoin, Darkweb kind of information or news here? We happen to.
Sure, Jack does.
Yeah, one thing to consider is that as the FBI or like the law enforcement successfully traces and like prosecutes more dark web criminals, it's gonna like send it's gonna set red flags up, right, for criminals. So criminals are quickly gonna adjust. So like they have a bit of an issue where the more they make it clear what their tracking capabilities are, the quicker the criminals are going to adjust. So it's like this is really going to be like a temporary whatever victories they score over the dark web is really going to be temporary. Every victory is going to bring the dark web closer to adapting and doing something else. But yeah, I do think the main issue is that the future, we're all hoping that we can integrate crypto into like the mainstream financial market, and make regulators kind of cooperate and work with us. And I think Bitcoin is a good opportunity to do that, because again, the blockchain is very transparent, the ledger is transparent, everybody can kind of it can be easily audited, and the authorities will have a bit of comfort and confidence knowing that like they can sort of trace everything and you can't really pull a fast one on them. But I just don't see how these privacy coins like Monero are ever going to fit into any kind of regulatory framework when it's just one big black hole of privacy and anonymity. Maybe the regulators will never be able to jive with it. And if we're going to be dependent on centralized exchanges that they themselves are, have to, become compliant, they're where good luck, you're going to see, just like we saw in Japan, like one of the first countries to have adopted the latest FATF rules. We saw a huge exodus of privacy coins off of Japanese exchanges. So I do think that there's always going to be a future for this privacy tech, but if it's relegated to just dark web markets, it's not going to enjoy like the speculatory fervor that listings on big exchanges like Coinbase or something will ever get.
Yeah. Yeah, basically saying, I mean, what I take from that too, and what I agree with a lot of that.
Can you guys not hear me?
Yeah, we can hear you now.
We can hear you
Okay.
now. Yeah, I agree with a lot of that. Obviously, Monero has had a good cyclical, pump cycle, just like many other altcoins or other speculative investments in cryptocurrency. And I think that's easy to understand because everything was moving up when the entire market's bullish. Altcoins are doing altcoin things. But now moving forward, we have more action that's been done by regulatory agencies. I mean, the travel rule was probably the biggest one, and that really does put a damper kind of moving forward.
This is, the entire thing is such a red herring. If they actually want to put a stop to money laundering, close Deutsche Bank. Period.
Yeah.
Like, that's where the money laundering is happening.
Yeah.
Money laundering is happening at Deutsche Bank. The money laundering is happening at Wells Fargo. The money laundering is happening at Chase Bank. We already know it. They're getting fined for it. Just this past week, we found out that Deutsche Bank was handing out like a bunch of that they were basically money laundering for Jeffrey Epstein after the child porn stuff came out. So it's like they already knew it, and then they were just like, okay, well, we're just gonna move this money for him because anyway, it doesn't matter. I just think it's just such a red herring for the FBI or any news organizations to talk about the maybe hundreds of thousands to millions of dollars of money laundering that goes on in crypto versus the hundreds of millions and billions of money laundering that goes on in the traditional financial markets, just right out in the open for anyone to see.
I would agree that it's just a mute
Man.
point.
Boom,
Because they're
boom.
trying to stop. Like, yeah, all those bigger banks and stuff like that, they're just trying to not get their toes caught in what they're already enveloped in.
Yeah, it's like you said. It's accusing crypto of being the money for criminals when like so much like no, they want USD. That's the money that's privacy oriented and that criminals want to use. It's just it's like the big criminal organizations don't want the little criminal organizations using their tools. Is what it feels like.
All that's true for sure, but I just don't think we're ever going to overcome that narrative, and I don't think it's going to change the fact that privacy coins are never going to meet that compliance, and just kind of trying to turn it around and point the finger back at the system is never going to really work. So I do think that it doesn't actually change the underlying fact. This is never going to be compliant.
See, here's the thing. a cryptocurrency can't give you a kickback if you're a politician. And that's why they're focused on these things. Well, I mean, yeah, Deutsche Bank's laundering money, but they also fund my campaign.
Mm-hmm.
Yep.
There's no this politician brought to you by Monero. Now your tokens are private. Vote Democrat. I don't know.
Maybe brought to you by Dogecoin. Heck.
Hey, Verge is Dogecoin dark, right, guys?
Yeah.
It's Dogecoin private. Hello.
I found that out today.
Yeah.
What about
Rebranded.
McAfee's coin? McAfee's private coin. What's it called? Phantom or something?
Is that
Ghost, I
FTM?
think.
It goes. Yep.
Let's see here. Turn this around. Maybe that's better. Maybe if I don't point my microphone toward everybody else. Did everybody go quiet?
Yep.
Okay. Just checking. Yeah. Let me, because this is always difficult because this is why we moved into the main server.
Aren't we in the main server?
Yeah. So we have, a higher bit rate on the audio processing in this room as opposed to the other server. I don't know. I suppose we should do some experiments because your guys' volumes are at 100 on Discord, and except for you, Jason, you're at 200. Alex was at 80. Jack was at 100. But if they're saying that medical crypto is saying if I'm a lot louder than you guys, is it an ego thing? Not that I'm aware of, but not denying that I might be subconsciously. But we will.
Narcissist.
And we will attempt to. We will again, not consciously, but I'm not denying that I might be subconsciously listening. It's not my fault. Okay. And yeah, I had the microphone turned this way toward my keyboard, not away. So
It's an amazing keyboard, though. You guys should really hear this thing.
Clackle.
If you think it sounds good, you should see the way it looks. I just figured out how to do the own programmable lights. So yeah, this thing is nice. Got it going on.
The Aura.
It's nice going with a
whatever.
gold-plated model.
Yeah, the Aura.
Yeah, I've been trying to get that thing to work, and it didn't work very well.
Clearly I am a megalomaniac. Sir, you seem to have gone mad with power. Of course I have. Have you ever tried going mad without power? Very, very boring. Nobody listens to you.
Remind Harold talking about.
All right, you need to turn your noise gate down, sir.
Do I?
I heard 15% of that.
You're too soft again, Jason.
All right, hold on. I want to answer before we get too off the rails here.
There are some questions.
We got questions. So starting off with our pre-selected question of the day. This comes from the members lounge from the premium member, Mr. Don Candon. And he says, I'm not going to fix the grammar here. Do top traders or whales, are top traders or whales considered to be market makers in Bitcoin trading? Or are market makers actual exchanges? I guess it depends.
Yes.
Yes. The answer is yes. Okay, let's start from the beginning here. Are top traders or whales considered market makers in Bitcoin trading? Well, they certainly can be, right? Exchanges do certainly approach generally OTC desks or proprietary firms or maybe even individual traders. It also depends on the exchange. Like, obviously the higher up to exchanges you get, like for example, BitMEX doesn't care if you have, a 30 BTC bankroll. You're not providing that much liquidity to them. If you are a private, under the table OTC firm with, proprietary high frequency trading bots, and you have 1,000 BTC bankroll, well, then you have something to offer BitMEX. You have a lot of liquidity to provide to BitMEX. And BitMEX will let you basically have your way with their exchange. So those who provide liquidity is very desirable to an exchange. The more liquidity on an exchange, the more can happen. Then the larger clientele they can service, the more orders that they can process, the more units that they can process. And ultimately, as we've seen in cryptocurrency, the more clout they get to tout, right? Look at Binance, look at BitMEX. look at Coinbase. These exchanges carry a ton of clout in the cryptocurrency space, certainly in the market, and they make money hand over fist because of it. And they do that by providing, just general capitalism stuff, a better user experience. Well, all the exchanges that I'm mentioning right now, except for BitMEX, which has never done anything to provide a better user experience at any point in time ever in its history. So having a lot of capital, being a top trader or being a whale does not necessarily mean you provide liquidity to the exchange, especially if it's sporadic, right? So if you're a whale and you move like 50 Bitcoin onto a low sat marketplace and you pick up some coins real cheap and then evacuate that market to go back over to Huobi, let's say you move from Binance to Huobi, you're not really providing liquidity to the market. You provided liquidity for a short period of time and then you withdrew it. Now, if you are consistently stacking the books on that market, then yes, you are providing liquidity, whether or not you have an arrangement with the exchange. But in general, what I would consider and what most people would consider to be a market maker is somebody with a formal or pseudo-formal agreement with the exchange that I will provide this amount of liquidity on this market every single day for X amount of time. And in return, you will provide me this. Very low transaction fees. Maybe let me know where everybody's stop losses are in the book. You don't talk about CZ, hey, things like that. So a market maker is an actual job where you provide liquidity to the market. You don't really care which way the market moves, long or short. You're just providing liquidity. You're making your money off the bid-ask spread. And as far as market makers being actual exchanges, in general, it's in the exchange's best interest generally to not do that. There are laws against that in traditional markets, except in the case of dealing desk brokers, because dealing desk brokers provide liquidity themselves by trading against you. They take the opposite side of your trade.
BitMEX, by the way, is a dealing desk broker, especially on the altcoin markets. Their quote unquote anchor market maker is BitMEX itself.
Yes. Yep.
They are anchoring their market to themselves.
So I think that this probably happens more frequently in cryptocurrency than we would expect it to do. And it's another good reason to keep your orders off the exchange and use something like 3 commas, Gunbot, trailing crypto, profit trailer, etc. But there's not a whole lot we can do about that. These are kind of known knowns in the market. And as long as this is exactly what I talk about in PTP, for example, pathways to profit. You do not want to trade in ways that directly align with the incentives of the exchanges or brokers. That's about it. Exchanges or brokers. Their interests are for you to trade as frequently as possible, as high a sizes as possible, and that's what most of the education out there will tell you what to do, right? Most of the education out there will say, be a cowboy, come on in, 100x long. No. That is exactly what the exchange wants you to do. So trade in a direction that is contrary.
I think the fact that they offer 100x alone is just like, anyone who uses that doesn't understand what they're doing. And the exchange is just offering that to just get that out of them.
Well, most people don't. I mean, there are some with the responsible ways to use the 100x. I mean, you can, once you're vastly in profit, you could pull out the rest of your margin and just let it go on, as long as you're willing to pay the interest on that. But I agree with you. For the most part, the 100x is a trap.
Yeah, for sure.
It's a tarp.
Or 125. You just need that extra 25%.
It is a tarp. All right, we're running. All right, hold on. Let's before we abandon all you good folks.
Doge seems to be pumping again.
Good. Pump my bags. Live questions as time allows. Take a look here real quick. Calendar events. Obviously, we have the Kraken cryptocurrency community mentoring session that's going to take place right now. That's going to run till 4. I'll be in there. I apologize, premium members that are waiting. I just sent the new invite link out just now, or like 5 minutes ago. So check your Google emails that you guys have registered with your subscription. That's where the email will go to. You can also check your Google calendars for the updated invitation. I'll join you guys there and go to meeting here in just a few moments. The meeting will start. Upcoming events, I want to remind you guys, we are going to do something special for prior premium members that were with us in the past that are not with us now. Obviously, we've added a lot of new features, services, strategies, indicators, educational material. And we really want to say thank you to individuals that came and learned and traded with us in our early days as we were growing as a group. So those individuals, we have their contact information. We're going to be sending out emails starting this weekend. So look for those invitations in the email with a very special offer to come back to the group. If you were a previous premium member and you do not receive an email or you've changed your email, feel free to contact us. You can get a hold of some of us in any of the staff in Discord. You can email us at support@krakencryptocurrency.com, and we will figure it out together. And okay, that's about it. That's about it. Make sure to leave you guys' comments in the section down below. I'm not going to do the regular outro. I'm just gonna plug on out. Anything you guys want to say before we go?
Buy Bitcoin.
Buy shitcoins.
Buy it all. Buy it all. All right. Well, in that case, I would like to say that at the end of the day, guys, risk management and discipline are responsible for paying my bills.
Boo! Boo!
That's not what they want to hear. That's not sexy.
How about this? Always take some time to appreciate the things in your life that truly matter. Nobody?
All right.
Just saying,
We'll allow it.
look away from the 100x long for a few seconds. Just look over at your 2-year-old sitting there.
And buy him some shitcoins.
And buy him some Tron before Justin Sun pumps it, right?
Buy him a bag of Tron.
All right. Hey, thanks guys for joining me. I'll see you guys here in the mentoring session in a few minutes.
Yeah.
All right. It never ends. Okay. And the last thing that I want to say is, guys, as always, remember to trade safely. All right, we're all in this together. I will see you guys tomorrow. We will be live again at 12 p.m. Central Standard Time for another episode of Breaking Bitcoin Market Update. You guys have been absolutely fantastic. Thank you so much. Sorry we couldn't get to your questions. We always have to run on Tuesday, and I'm sorry that the show goes so long. If I'm sure Jack and Jason might be able to help out with this, but I will try to gather any of the questions that we didn't answer. They're probably already there on my show notes tab, and we will try to get those answered tomorrow, or we'll post them, post about them in the Discord channel. So make sure you guys join our Discord channel if you haven't. Links, everything's down in the description for anything you could possibly need in life. I'm sure it's down there. If you look hard enough, you'll find a link to something you need down there. I'll see you guys tomorrow. Trade safely, and cheers.